Today we're gonna look into the most important chart for Bitcoin price development of recent years that currently nobody is talking about. And I'm not clickbaiting here, I really do mean it. I have not seen anybody talk about this chart in recent months. That's why we're gonna do that right now, so stay tuned, we're jumping right in. Hello and welcome to another video by HKCM Global. My name is Joe, and before we jump into this super important chart, let me just quickly lay the foundation for you to understand that chart. So you probably might know that Bitcoin by many is categorized as a risk asset. And what basically all risk assets have in common is whenever people do have less money available for speculation, whenever people have to cut back on their spending, those risk assets will have a hard time performing well. However, every single time when there is lots of money available to the economy, meaning whenever it's very easy to get loans, whenever it's very cheap to get loans, those are the times when risk assets will shine and when risk assets will perform the best compared to more traditional investments. And that's why here I have prepared for you a super interesting chart. So the yellow line starting all from the lower left-hand side, moving up to the upper right-hand side, is the total global money supply available to the global economy. So what does that mean in a nutshell? This means that whenever you see the yellow line, well, you see most of the time that yellow line was rising, first of all. But whenever that yellow line was moving downward, like here, for example, or here, or maybe also this short phase here, or this bigger phase over here, in all of those instances, those were instances where money was pulled out of the global economy, meaning national banks all over the world pulled money out from the economy, pulled money out from the investor. And in those phases, of course, Bitcoin, like many other risk assets, had a super hard time performing well. And of course, that's not the only reason for Bitcoin price development. By no means, there is no single chart out there that will have 100% causation for the Bitcoin course, but bear with me here for just a second. So you see this peak over here for the global money supply. What did Bitcoin do? Downward movement to follow. You can see this peak here of the global money supply. Of course, Bitcoin started dropping before, but what came after? Huge sell-off to follow. You can see this local peak here in global money supply. Same as before, Bitcoin also has started his downward move before, but what followed? Another huge sell-off. However, what followed after? You can see here that in global money supply, we had the local bottom, just slightly ahead of the Bitcoin local bottom. You can see here the bottom of global money supply was in October of 2022 and the bottom for Bitcoin was in the end of November of 2022. So 1.5 to 2 months later. And if we follow the chart more closely, you can see that Bitcoin did a pretty good job tracking that global money supply. And as of now, I don't see any indication that Bitcoin will stop doing so in the future. And that brings us to a super interesting point, because where we're currently sitting at is this situation right here, bringing us back to what we were just talking about. Local bottom for global money supply here, Bitcoin bottom just a bit later. Local top for global money supply over here, Bitcoin top, well, pretty much at the same time, just a little bit later. And then the next local top for global money supply, next Bitcoin top. Local bottom for global money supply, well, a little local Bitcoin top. To be fair, Bitcoin held up pretty nicely in that phase, but still a lower low. And then what followed? I mean, you can see it for yourself. We had the next local top in global money supply, and we had a top in Bitcoin to follow. As of the beginning of March 25, we have a new top in already. However, what did Bitcoin do? Bitcoin is far from its top. Bitcoin currently sitting just shy of $84,000, is about $24,000 shy of its all-time high. And if that chart with the delay from global money supply to the Bitcoin price evaluation is of any indicative value still, which I believe, that should mean that in a matter of the next month or even 2 months, we should see a new top for Bitcoin, or at least a return into the price region of its most recent top. A bit more fundamental data. What do we see on the exchanges? I love those charts. I love those charts on the exchanges. I've been paying attention to those for ages. Bitcoin balance on exchanges. Quick explanation, what does that mean? Bitcoin balance on exchanges is all the Bitcoin that are laying somewhere on crypto exchanges. So basically all the Bitcoin that are available to potential people that want to purchase Bitcoin. So it's basically the Bitcoin supply available for purchase. And as you probably know from Economics 101, the price is always determined by supply and demand. When demand increases, price increases. When demand falls, price falls. And if demand stays the same, but the supply rises, then also the price falls. And if demand stays the same and the supply lowers, then also prices will increase. And so, what did we see here? So that here was the very late phase. This was still the bear market coming from the 2021 top, bringing us all the way down to the Bitcoin bottom of $16,000 per coin, even 15,800 per coin back in November of 2022. And ever since, we have seen price increases from 15,800. We have gone all the way up to even $70,000. And in all that time, the supply on the exchanges, the Bitcoin reserves on the exchanges, they didn't really move at all. I mean, sure, we had a slight increase, but for example, here we're starting out at 2,950,000, and all the way there to the top, we moved to 3,100,000. So not really a huge difference. So in that whole phase where we entered into the price territory of 70,000, all the way up until now, where we have peaked over 100,000 and we're currently sitting at $83,000. In all that time, the balances on exchange just dropped and dropped and dropped and did not stop dropping as of now. Meaning, while in all this time where we ran up from 16,000 to 70,000, while in all that time we had an increase on the available Bitcoin on the exchanges of 150,000 Bitcoin ever since that top. So ever since we've moved up from 70,000 to over 100,000, we have dropped from this 3,100,000 available, we have dropped all the way down to below 2.5 million Bitcoin available. And if the available supply of Bitcoin is contracting in such a manner, what will that mean for Bitcoin price? You can have a guess. It's probably gonna rise. That's at least what we see from here onward. We see currently that ever since the top that we established here locally with our wave 1, that we're currently in an A, B, C correction. And as of now, as you're watching this video, we conclude that we probably are in the process of printing the low of the A wave or already have printed the low of the A wave. And in the next move, we see rising prices all the way back to the most recent all-time high, and likely even in an overshooting B wave above that most recent all-time high. And in all honesty, of course, to paint the complete picture afterwards, we do expect falling prices for Bitcoin, and we do expect new lower lows. However, not for long, and we are not at all sure that this will mark the bottom of the current bull market, or that this will lead in a new bear market. This would, of course, mean a huge intra bull market correction. However, as soon as we establish that pivot point of the wave 2 low, we still see drastically rising prices all the way up to a final wave 3 top that could then finally really mark the top of this current bull cycle and could easily reach into the area of over $200,000. What about Ethereum though? Here I also prepared some macro data for you that's super interesting and super valuable to look into. It will show you, it will underline how weird of a bull market this current cycle really is. I don't think you really have yet understood how absolutely wild this current bull market is. There's so many things that just do not add up. Starting with the fact that we had established a new all-time high even before the Bitcoin halving. That has yet in the history of Bitcoin never happened, but in this last halving of 2024 it did happen. But what is even weirder to me and even more indicative, that we are far from the current bull market top, and that we might even see a huge correction before we move to that final bull market top, is the following. So if we look 2 bull markets back, that's the bull market of 2017 leading into 2018. You can see here in white, that's the Bitcoin market cap. So I just concluded this one would be more interesting to look into than the pure price action. But of course, these two go hand in hand. So we see the Bitcoin market cap in white, and we see down below the Ethereum market cap. And what you can see here is that Bitcoin has had its top in December of 2017. What about Ethereum? Ethereum had its market top all the way in January of 2018. So a full month delay until Ethereum had its all-time high. Meaning that in the time when Bitcoin had fallen by already 30%. In that same time, Ethereum has had a run of 76%. So a huge divergence of these two. How about we move to the next cycle? Cycle of 2021. Same story. Bitcoin has established its local high on 12th of April 2021. How about Ethereum? Ethereum has established its all-time high on the 13th of May. So again, a full month back when Bitcoin was already falling, Ethereum still had its sharp increase and the biggest price gains of the whole cycle. What followed then was a little bit of a different story, because we, in our Elliott wave analysis, conclude that this one here has been the top for Bitcoin, and this was not a new top, but more a corrective move. And that's why we see here in this corrective move also Ethereum mirroring Bitcoin 1-for-1. So there is no delay here in this corrective move, because it was a corrective price increase and no new all-time high. But even here we see a way stronger Ethereum performance. So when we take this Bitcoin top and we measure it against this Bitcoin top, this is a price increase of 7% total, even though we conclude it's a corrective one, but still nevertheless 7% total. How about Ethereum? Ethereum sees over, well, not over, but 20% of price increase. So again, much better performance of Ethereum in those late stages of the cycle. Where are we currently at? You probably have noticed it yourself in your portfolio. Ethereum is miles and miles away from tracking Bitcoin performance. Ethereum is miles from establishing a new all-time high. Bitcoin currently at its $83,000 is sitting at 23% below its all-time high. How about Ethereum? Ethereum is currently sitting not below its all-time high, but even below its most recent high. The all-time high would even be way worse. But Ethereum is sitting currently at 54% below its most recent high. And that's not even the all-time high. The all-time high of Ethereum was higher still. So even on that basis of the direct correlation of Bitcoin and Ethereum, we do not see any indication that we have yet approached the late stages of the bull market and that we have yet already seen the top for this current bull market. And that's also the reason why our analysis for Ethereum, our prediction, is a little bit different from Bitcoin. For Bitcoin, you remember, we concluded that the Bitcoin will only move up in a corrective B-wave move and then come way lower. For Ethereum, it's a different story. For Ethereum, we see the wave 1 top in here, way back in March of 24. And we currently are in the territory where we conclude that the wave 2 bottom might already be in, and that we might see a pivot point from here onward, and that we might already enter into the wave 3 move that Bitcoin probably still is far from. But of course, in all honesty, it is a game of probabilities, and also for Ethereum here we have an alternative scenario currently marked at 48% probability. We have this alternative scenario that Ethereum could move even lower still and move even below $1,500 per coin, and only then establish its big overreaching wave 2 bottom, wave 2 pivot point, and of course then laying the foundation for a real healthy and prolonged bull market to follow and for new tops being printed. And so that's it for today. I hope that overview was helpful. If you also are active on X and on Instagram, please go over there, check out our Instagram page, our X page. We do tons of interesting and fun postings. We do memes, we do news, we do knowledge stuff. So if you want to educate yourself about these stock exchanges, about the investment market in a whole, go over there. And if you want to make sure to never again miss such free value, free videos that we put out here on this channel multiple times a week, go down to the description, turn on the bell notification, subscribe to this channel, leave a comment and tell me what you would want to see next in an upcoming video. I would love to deliver those wishes that you might have. And if you want to go even further and step up your own trading game, we do have an upcoming daily analysis service where we will send out daily notifications and updates on over 200 assets that we analyze on a daily basis. Go down to the description. There also is a link taking you to a landing page where you can fill in your email address, and there's no obligation for you to do anything at this point in time, but you will get notified as soon as we are ready to roll out that international service. We are, as of now, already one of the biggest providers of such analyses in the Central European realm, and we are about ready to roll out that service in your country of origin as well. So if you would like to get notified as soon as this one is coming up, leave your email address there on the landing page. And up until then, see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.